Joining me now at the family table, CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson. She's in Los Angeles, not exactly at the family table, but that's okay. Someday she'll be here. And NOTUS, remember that's News of the U.S. congressional reporter Daniella Diaz and CBS News political reporter Hunter Woodall. Jessica, we've been on the California situation for quite a while, so stand by. I want to talk about some political stuff here at the table, but I promise I've got some questions for you. Hunter, let me start with you. Over the weekend, something emerged that was not supposed to emerge via audio about Ken Martin, the current DNC chair. Take it away.
Major, this was a tough weekend to be a Democrat. They had this small group of Democrats meeting back in May, and Politico got this recording of Ken Martin, the DNC chair, having a pretty vulnerable moment, talking about his relationship with this controversial DNC Vice Chairman David Hogg. If we can give that a listen.
Mm-hmm. Control.
I deeply respect you, David. I too was looking forward to working with you, but this has created a situation, and I'll be very honest with you, for the first time in my 100 days on this job, and Jessica knows this, the other night I said to myself for the first time, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You essentially destroyed any chance I have to show the leadership that I need to. So it's really frustrating.
Whoa.
Not something you normally hear in a
No, you never hear it. You never hear it.
And you don't hear this from a party chairman. And, I've covered Ken Martin for years now. He's a very genuine person. But this is, this was a moment where when I talked to my sources yesterday after this recording became public, they were very upset, that this was essentially a group of, I believe, around 10 people who met. So then it caused a lot of bickering of, okay, who leaked this recording? And the person that most people pointed to was David Hogg, the controversial DNC vice chairman who was on that call. David Hogg gave a denial of sorts on social media yesterday. But, this is all happening just before there's a movement actually to remove David Hogg from his role at the DNC. It's from a complaint that actually has nothing to do with its current controversies. But this is all building some weird momentum, and Democrats don't want to be talking about this right now, but they are.
Momentum in a decidedly self-destructive direction, not a positive direction. Danielle, I want to play for you something that we heard the vice president say in a moment on the Theo Von podcast, in which Theo Von read to the vice president in real time something from last week that we well remember. Elon Musk on President Donald Trump. Let's listen.
I haven't even seen this one.
But he goes, real Donald Trump is in the Epstein files. This is the real reason they have not been made public. Have a nice day. Nice signature from a South African DJT.
Man. Well, here's my basic reaction to all this stuff is look, first of all, absolutely not. Donald Trump didn't do anything wrong with Jeffrey Epstein. The guy is, whatever the Democrats and the media says about him, that's totally BS.
Wow.
Another wow.
Another wow.
It's a wow Monday here at the Takeout.
Major, I was on the Hill when that tweet dropped.
Right, of course.
Or I should say the post on X now.
Yes.
Let me correct myself. And I was watching members of Congress in real time say, whoa. To quote one of them, they said, it appears that mommy and daddy are fighting. That is what one Republican congressman said. It's interesting to see J.D. Vance, our vice president, kind of react to that as well and defend Donald Trump, because he's also, as you can tell, kind of caught off guard by that question.
Not expecting that.
Not expecting that. But I will say it was really interesting to see Elon Musk's post over the weekend.
Kind of pulling things back.
Reposting President Donald Trump's Truth Social posts about what's happening in Los Angeles, almost endorsing support from the administration and how they deployed the National Guard.
The gravitational alignment of immigration yet again asserting itself within the MAGA movement.
That's always been something that they all agree on. But it still goes back to the fact that they have these major disagreements about that one big, beautiful bill, and that those disagreements are not over and continue to play out.
Right. Those posts were not taken away. They're still up there and still stand. Jessica, I promised I would get back to you, and I'm so glad you're with us. So evaluate the legal basis on which the administration is asserting authority to deploy the National Guard, not just in California, but in other places, if it assumes unrest may occur related to immigration enforcement.
Well, thank you for the question. Thank you for having me here on what is now Wow Monday. So when we're looking at this statute and we're looking at the president's authority, he's pointing to something called Title 10. And he's pointing to a section of the federal statute that gives him the authority to say, I think there's a rebellion or the danger of a rebellion, and therefore I can federalize the National Guard. I have to say the first question should always be a powers question. Does the president have the power? And I would say the statute, Major, is a pretty broad grant of authority, not just to this president, obviously, but to any president. And then the question is there some sort of limitation? Is it that you need the consent of the state? I don't read the language of the statute as requiring that a governor says yes, or requiring that a governor says, frankly, anything at all. Then we have questions as to what the National Guard can do. And I will say this is where the statute is limited. By using his power under this statute, the president is saying that the National Guard can be called in, but only in a supporting role. The National Guard cannot suddenly start directly enforcing domestic law, but they can provide basically support services. They can help protect federal agents. They can help protect federal property. So big grant of authority, but somewhat limited role for the National Guard.
Jessica, thank you very much for that clarification and really important context. Very quickly, Hunter and Daniella, we have a primary in New Jersey tomorrow. Hunter?
Major, this is going to be interesting.
Governor's primary.
Governor's primary in New Jersey. You know, New Jersey and Virginia, they have these off-year elections. And New Jersey is one of those states, reliably blue, right? Democrats really, they struggled there, in 2024. Joe Biden won it by about 16 points, in 2020. Kamala Harris won it by about 6. That's a drop-off. New Jersey Democrats, they're worried about that. They're also worried because there is a big concern about, okay, the governor's office flips back and forth some years. A party doesn't hold this thing for 12 years in New Jersey. So political gravity, 2024 election, causing some tensions there.
And Daniella, Republicans think there's an opening there.
They do.
There may not be one, but they think there is.
There is, and I think it's just piggybacking off what happened and what we saw in the 2024 election, where Republicans clearly outperformed, won the Senate, won the House. They're, trying to really take over states as well, and they probably have a chance in what's happening, what Hunter just said, in New Jersey. Now, if I could just add I'm putting my reporter hat on, congressional reporter hat on, I'm very interested in seeing what happens between Josh Gottheimer and Mikey Sherrill, because, those two have to work together on Capitol Hill, and here they are about to have a debate. And
only one's going to win that primary, go on to the general. That's right. Daniella Diaz, Hunter Woodall, and Jessica Levinson in Los Angeles. We all agree it's Wow Monday. That's not necessarily a good thing, folks. It's just a thing.